Welcome everyone to another episode of DigiChem Dialogues. I'm your host Jay Bhatia, founder and CEO of Agilis. Today's conversation is something very close to my heart. I've been in commercial roles throughout my career, and today I have a outstanding guest to talk about sniper marketing, or how to get more precise in your sales and marketing approach in B2B selling space, which is what most of you are in chemicals, plastics, or materials industry. But I would say that this applies to any sales situation. As long as you are selling to an enterprise where the decision making is multiple stakeholders weighs in, this is absolutely relevant as much to the software sales as much to the chemicals, plastics, and material sales. So this is one of the most practical and underused concept in B2B commercial marketing or commercial strategy. And my guest today has spent nearly 5 decades in chemical sales and marketing across some of the most renowned companies, including Hüls, which is no longer there, part of Evonik now, Evonik, DSM, SABIC, and across the different continents, Germany, France, Saudi Arabia, and UK. He has done so well in his role as a sales excellence program leader at SABIC that he has started his own consulting. But before that, in terms of his career, he has led the sales excellence program with all these companies that he worked with. He has launched digital commerce, digital engagement tools, and developed methodology for winning the complex B2B accounts that is as relevant today as it has ever been. And perhaps more so, given that AI is now making a lot of things possible, but it's also creating a lot of noise. So Jörg-Holger Krause, I hope I pronounce your name correctly, will go by Jörg, and welcome to DigiChem Dialogues.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction, Jay, and thank you for everybody for joining, spending time with us. And yeah, I hope I can give you some new perspectives and some new inputs for your business, for my experience. As Jay mentioned, during my career, I always stayed in the chemical industry, so very much at the beginning of any value chain or value creation, which makes it always quite different from other B2B to B2B approaches. So, but what I've learned over these years came very often, not by theoretical learning. It was always by practical learning, seeing when things worked, why did they work, or why did they fail, analytics, and then started to understand things. I always try to be at the front runner of any innovation, trying to bring digitalization. I always remember when I had my time in France, we had a very progressive leader over there, and we got already some laptops. So I was used to make all my market study, customer things, and so on, no longer on handwritten list, but really on a database. And then I was my expatriation terminated. I went back to Germany. And then I asked my boss over there to get a laptop, and he asked me for a business case to say, how will you sell more when you have a laptop, or how will you sell better? And these kind of things happen all the time when you are always in front of ahead of some new trends. So 3 years later, everybody had a laptop on his desk, and there was no more discussion about business cases. It came naturally.
Right, that's very interesting. And I read one of your comment that you have lived through the era when digitalization means going from telex to fax machine.
Yeah, so very often you hear people laughing. Yeah, the boomer generation. They use the fax. Yeah, but okay, hey, we also use telex. I still remember these stripes, paper stripes, when you had to write it, and then there were people hacking it in. So this even existed at the time back. And I also remember I used to make these cards, these punch cards, to write things to memorize. Yeah, so
Wow, wow. So
yeah,
this
if you
this
have to
is,
adapt the
and
situation.
from all the way from there, punch cards and telex to the AI, that
Yeah.
is quite a fascinating journey. As they say, the boomers are one of the luckiest generation who has seen the transition from bullock carts to planes to AI. So that is truly that brings a unique perspective and insight, and that's all we are eager to hear today. But before we get into the thing, into our question Q&A, I want to, you have a brief about B2B selling that most people in this room will either strongly agree with or will say, aha, I've never heard this put quite this way. So can you share with us? Because when I heard for the first time, I was also quite intrigued and fascinated with that line of thinking.
Yeah, I think you refer to the fact that I say, okay, when you talk in B2B, in complex B2B, then you say the baddest word that you can pronounce is the customer. It doesn't exist.
Mm,
So this was one of my learnings when we talked about the customer. It was always a problem. Problems start when you use this kind of the definition. So you have it, and the fact is that in B2B, and mainly when it comes to subject like digitalization and AI, we tend to copy a B2C approach. And in
mm,
B2C, it is very clear. I'm the seller and I have something to sell, and you are the buyer. You need it. You want it. And it always implies that the one who's buying is making the fully decision. And in complex B2B structures, this is not the case. So
mm,
you always have things like the value chain, which is an important part, but also any B2B structure has different angles that you need to have a look at. So you have different functions there, you have different hierarchies, and you have different people that have a say on the buying decision. So very often we call them buying committee. It's a way to call them, but for me a committee is always a bunch of people that agrees to something. Whereas in real life, this is not the case. So I tend to call them influencers, because in any company you have people that have more influence than others, and
mm.
then you have different targets, and depending on the power distribution within the companies that you deal with, you have to understand all these kind of things to be able to place the right arguments at the right place. And
Mm,
this is where
mm.
it really starts to get more complicated.
So there is not a customer, it's a group of stakeholders who makes a decision.
Exactly.
So depending on who you
Exactly.
are talking to, your message needs to be different. It's a very simple thing, but how often we forget. I mean, I tell my sales and marketing team as well, and sometimes even I forget that, hey, you cannot go with a one uniform message to an organization. You've got to have a message tailor-made for each stakeholder. That's fascinating.
Yeah, exactly. Because you see yourself as a company leader, you have other interests. You are on a higher level and on a different level than people that are in a functional space where they are trying to fulfill the task that that the organization has given to them. And this
Mm,
is what they always want to do at their best knowledge and at their best level. And therefore it has to fit, otherwise it will not make click if you feed with in our business, the chemical business, you have a lot of gatekeepers that look after quality, after certain technical values. And you have people for whom the third digit after the dot or the comma is important. And this is their task, to make sure that certain hurdles are met and that these hurdles are respected, because otherwise the company can go out of business because if
Yeah.
you can have lawsuits and these kind of things. So for them it's important, but for the CEO it's less important, or for the managerial level, they look to other things. They look, okay, how will this new solution impact our organization? How will people cope with this? Do we have to invest in learning? And of course, what is the bottom line result of this solution? And this is what most of the time is really the most important things, much more than prices or other things.
Well, but let's not forget that CEOs don't make a decision because they want their teams to be accountable for the outcome. So it's the stakeholders, the committee that makes a decision. And let's not forget that each one is paid to do their part. If someone is paid for, or their core role is technical evaluation, then you have to assume that they will do their best and take it to the nth degree to do their job well. And the same with the procurement. They are paid to save money when they make a purchasing decisions. So this is not even like you're cursorily addressing their needs. It's really deeply understanding what is at stake for them and how do you address that. So it's pretty nuanced.
Yeah. Yeah, there are several things. So from my experience, it's not always the case that a CEO doesn't take decisions. So I experienced when even a CEO took a decision on a minor thing against the how do you call it, the agreement of all the management that was below, the project team that was below. So he reversed it completely. It can happen, but most of the time, of course, the CEO is there not to be in details. For sure, the CEO or the budget holder is the one who gives the funds, and you have to prove him that things go into the right direction. Things are in line with the company goals, with the company mission, and this is always the most easiest thing to start with. If you look to your list, and then I come to the customer, you can scan them and look what are the things that they want to accomplish, and then you understand what the CEO wants to accomplish. Look to their quarterly reports and so on, and then you have a quite good direction. And from there you have, of course, to understand the practical goals of everybody. But even if you have functions, and then we come to the other statement, and this is where we have really the fact where sales and marketing need to work together. So the ideal situation is not to have sales or marketing separated. It's really to have what we call smarketing or smarketing, that both are together. So you can have people that have the same function in the same company. So you might have Jim and John leading a manufacturing workshop, and both have a problem with, for example, they have a scrap rate of 5%. They got the order to reduce the scrap rate by any means. Now, then you have two people, Jim and John, who have the same. They have the same age, the same persona. So they are 45 years old. They are married. They have 2 children, and both have the same hobbies. The only difference is that Jim just joined the company 6 months ago, and John is in this company for 5 years. And John implemented the actual solution, and he was defending him against others. So he thinks 5% is quite good, and he is not very lucky that he gets this task. Whereas Jim comes in and says, okay, I'm new. Everybody expects for me to do something different. So it's much easier then to change a status than if you have implemented the actual solution. So Jim will jump on this solution much earlier than John, although it's the same persona. But due to the fact that one has created the solution and the other one inherited a solution, this person is more open to a change than the other. And there you come together where you really need to understand what are the things, what is going on. And today you have the data. You can see it. So in the Western world, a little bit less in China, but in the Western world, you have LinkedIn, and I experienced that I knew about promotions or changes of job of colleagues of mine earlier from LinkedIn than with the internal communication. Because people, as soon as something is there, they publish it. And then you can see, and you have this data where you can jump on and see, hey, here's a chance, here I can do something, and here I might be more successful than with the other company.
Yeah, right, right. Great. Let's take us back to your early part of the journey. Nearly 5 decades in is a remarkable career in any industry, but especially in chemicals and plastics. So, which has changed enormously over time, as we just discussed. So, take us back to the beginning and what first drew your attention to sales and marketing, and what were the early signs that the way industry was selling needed to change?
Okay, so yeah, I would say the first years of marketing, if you look to sales and marketing, you always have the fact of digitization and digitalization. Digitization was going from paper to Excel and other tools, where you had already better possibility to do analytics and change the way um, of being a little bit more strategic than just an order taker. And then the way of attending or connecting to people, doing the marketing part. Yeah, you had leaflets, you had printed brochures, so all these kind of stuff that were distributed, that were heavy, and but it was in this time, it was like this. So the real change came back in the year 2000, when internet was growing, and we had this famous dot-com gold rush here, and there first things started to change. You saw a different way of working. You see in the chemical industry a lot of market placing popping up, not very successful. And if you understand the nature of the chemical business, you might say why in certain parts it's not very successful, in others it can work. But this was the first thing, and with this we also started what we call e-commerce. Now, in the chemical business or in the plastic business, sometimes the product that you buy can make up 60 to 80% of your revenue, and you don't buy it like you buy something on Amazon. So you want to have the contact with the company, with your suppliers, to understand more of the market trend, to be sure that you are on the right side, that your prices are at least at the level of your competition, that you don't buy too expensive, because the margin are so razor thin
Yeah.
that any error can lead to a problem. Now, therefore, e-commerce started in a different way. So it was mainly a kind of fulfillment of an agreement. So this is still the way how chemicals do it today. And we had the luck to bring in one of the first, or even maybe the first e-shop in the plastic industry, with a direct connection, so that we could give back to our ERP system, so that whenever a customer placed an order based on an agreement, could immediately see when the truck will arrive in his premises, or at least when the truck will leave the factory and is available for him. So this was already a kind of revolution all over.
Yeah.
That yeah, where you saw a different way of doing business, and also a different way of customer expectations.
Yeah, yeah. So you've been through the waves of digital change. How has your relationship with technology in commercial roles evolved in all these decades? I mean, you mentioned about dot-com era. Has How much impact the technology has on the commercial roles in chemical industry?
Um, I think technology is not so important to you need to understand it. You need to understand how technology can help you. But otherwise, I think it's yeah, you have IT specialists, and this is their job. And what I learned in several projects is that you need a good translation of the business or commercial language to IT language. And this is one of the best things, that you can understand each other, and that you create, that you are able to explain things that you do and how things have to happen to somebody who understands technology. And in all IT projects, this was always the toughest part, to do it and to come to the results, that things happen like you want them to happen.
Yeah. So you just told us that the customer does not exist. Isn't that a dangerous statement for marketers who have spent years building personas and customer journey maps?
I think it's more dangerous for marketers to talk about customers than
Okay. That's
than
interesting.
ignoring the fact that we have, yeah, these kind of business influencers. So we work very much with a certain with three main types. We have the economic buying influencer. These are people that hold the budget, and these are people that have more or less the last say on anything, and they can make things happen. Where other things say it might not go in this direction. Then we have the technical part, and these are people that are judging on numbers. These are the gatekeepers. For me, purchasing is not a business or an economic part. It's more or less also a technical part, also judging on numbers. And on the other hand, we have the users. So these are the people in the workshop that have to live with your solution, that work with your solution, and yeah, must make things happen that were promised. So one of the points also that I bring in, and this is very important if you look to the value chain, is that you don't forget the sales and marketing department of your direct customer, because they are the first one to understand new trends. They are the first one to understand if your solution is working out, and how the market is accepting your solution. So yeah, mainly in complicated, and this is also something we started to discuss about, these complex business chains. So in the plastic and chemical industry, you're always at the beginning. So you start, you have your chemical process, and then you start to make something. So you make a film that is used for chips packaging, so potato chips and these kind of things, so, or destined for this. So you have a product that is faster on the extrusion machine. So your direct customer will be happy. Then these guys is selling it to the next one who is laminating it and metallizing this film. So you say it has a better adhesion for the metallizing part. So this guy might be very happy. Now the next part is the one who's printing it. So your product is so glossy that you have more brilliant colors. This guy will be happy. Then you have the one who's baking the potato chips, and your product has a better heat resistance, and they can fill in the hot potato chips at a 10-degree higher temperature. So they are happy because they can increase line speed and save energy and so on. And then you do all of these kinds from ocean plastics. So the brand owner is happy because they can claim sustainability points or these kind of things. Now, as you have seen, you have one product that have all these kind of features leading to certain customer benefits, and you pack it together. So in order to convince people to take your solution that might be more expensive and that creates value in each step of the value chain, if you throw it all to your direct customer, they will not understand. They will just pick the one part that is important for them. So doing marketing over the value chain and picking out the right people to over the value chain to create also a kind of pull effect might be even more important. And then you have to understand, okay, who are the people that are concerned by this benefit, by this feature, leading to benefits for them. And this is the message you have to give. And this was not possible in the early days. When you had these approaches, you made an article in printed media and so on. But now it is possible due to social media, and you can really target them.
So that's interesting. So basically, with the advent of digital tools and channels to reach to every stakeholder, if used properly, you can get to the every stakeholder and address their needs. Is that what
Yes.
I'm hearing? Now, it then also depends on the approach, so whether digital marketing makes the matter better or worse.
Yeah, it's a good point. What I have learned is also you can do marketing without a dedicated marketing department.
Mm,
So you need to bring together people of the right interest in the company. In the last company was working, we had so-called industry value teams. So you had a number of experts, so coming from T&I, these are the guys that develop, that are in the lab and cook a new solution. Then we have our market development department. These are specialists of industries, of certain
mm,
industries or sub-industries. And then we had sales there. We also put in Marcom, so market communication, but this was is more kind of event organizing department. And if you have very commoditized product, you might even need supply chain, because then you might not really distinguish on your product, but maybe on supply logistic services that you can offer to go forward and to convince people. So this team together sits together, and they are brainstorming, to you start with product features, and then you ask, so long, so what, meaning what is the benefit of this product feature, until you come to a possible value that can be created. And this process is a quite long process to go through it. So because you are together with a bunch of people, and very often not physical but virtual, due to the fact that yeah, in global organization, specialists are placed all around the world. And you create these kind of value cards, and then you start to define value cards, and try to bring in to understand, okay, who are the value chain partners for whom these kind of benefits and value propositions might be reliable. Then you check, you make another matrix to understand what is the power of the different stakeholders, and then you
mm,
might understand that even your direct customers might not be the one who you should connect to bring this solution. You might even go further down in the value chain. So you even can have cases where your solution for your direct customer might bring disadvantages, and you might get blocked, whereas further down in the value chain, it creates enormous value, and therefore you need to overcome your direct customer. Of course, you have to integrate your direct customer in a certain way, because they are buying from you, the ones with whom you make the transaction, and you don't want to spoil this relationship. But in the end, the people further down in the value chain are the ones that make the decision, and that creates a larger value. And this is what you have to identify.
that is very interesting because, and that may change from customer to customer depending on your sales situation. In some
Exactly.
cases, the direct user is leading the the buying committee or buying process, but in some cases, direct customer may not be involved at all. So where does the distinction of sales and marketing comes? How does marketing help?
Yeah,
And
as I mentioned, we work without marketing. We don't have a dedicated marketing function. We do marketing, but we
right
don't
in your
have a
mind,
dedicated.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and therefore it is this team, this collaborative and intelligent, and where you might do what we call smarketing, also sales and marketing together. So you have a raw bunch of bunch of arguments to go forward, and
Mm,
then it's, of course, you need to have salespeople that are educated for this, how to use them and how to bring them forward. And these
mm,
kind of things, this is where AI comes in place, where you can connect it. You can say,
mm,
hey, this is a list of possible leads, of possible customers with whom I want to work. What is their situation? And check out to LinkedIn, what are the people I should connect to? And then you go forward. So you have this possibility, but it requires then also a different skill set from the people that use it. So you
mm.
need, they need to train on AI and how AI can help them.
So essentially, you just described the sniper marketing, which is getting hyper focused on the stakeholder analysis, identifying their needs, unmet needs, and then curating your message depending on that persona and their needs.
Yeah.
So walk us through how sniper marketing will actually work in practice. Like, is there an analytical framework that you recommend where companies can start? Or otherwise you will have to like reinvent or believe in your guts.
Yeah, you always have this point. Salespeople say, okay, we know our customer, and very often they know them, but not completely. Sorry, and there you might tools that can help you where you do this kind of analysis. So it always starts with a kind of segmentation. And what we have done, we started from polymers over to polymer families and down to grades. So you start with 16 polymers, and in the end, I think I counted them once. It's more than 1,200 grades. So on the other hand, you also have to segment your market. And yeah, there for us, we defined 9 industries. We defined more than 50 sub-industries, and we have more than 300 applications that were defined. So we don't go until a part level because there's an infinite number of parts that are in these kind of application. So this is the first part of segmentation from your products and the market. The next part was then that you start also to segment your customer base. So here it's quite different if you want to focus or if you want to serve everybody. And I think in chemical companies, either you are a producer and you focus on the 80% of the market share that you can reach, and you leave the 20% for the distribution, where you have approximately 80% of the customer, because distribution adds another layer of value to these kind of customers that larger chemical companies cannot provide. It's not their main competencies, and they will be lousy in doing this. And this is why we have this connection with this distribution that works very well. And then, of course, as I mentioned, you have these different buying influences. You have you have the different hierarchy level, and if this is all there, then you can start to build your value proposition based on this. And it's easy. You use tools like LinkedIn Sales Navigator to have a list of possible people to talk to, and then again within these kind of value teams, you discuss which kind of message to place, and then you try it out. You see the response rate. And then you do the normal marketing things that you see, okay, we have a very good response for this one, so we should try it out. You do this A and B testing stuff and so on. So it's not rocket science, but it's much more an integrated team approach than rather silos running all and blaming each other if things are not going right. And here you have the full responsibility on multiple functions within your company, and they are sitting together to achieve results.
Thanks, Jörg. So you just described the process and how it works in real life. This is from my own experience. You will always have one the lead buyer who would try to block you from going to other stakeholders because it's not in the purchasing manager or its interest that you learn so much more about the organization, their needs, what are the needs of a stakeholder, because more information that you have, more you will use that for your leverage. Do you have a trick as to how to get to different stakeholders and really understand their needs?
Yeah, Jay, but this is a typical boomer question. So yes, this existed, and it was tough, and there are different methodologies to try to get out and reach out, and it can be a long process that is successful or not. So there are methodologies. You can provoke a kind of complaint about something and so on, and then you learn other people. But today, with social media and even social networks like LinkedIn, it's not a problem. You find them, you see them, and then this gatekeeper, this lead buyer, that they cannot hinder you anymore. So yes, we had them. We had some in large car manufacturers. There was a lead buyer, and you only have to talk to the lead buyer. Everything has to go through them. These times are over. They existed 20 years ago, maybe also 15, but this is no longer the case. So there's no longer controlled speech.
Okay, that's good to know. I haven't sold chemicals or plastics in a while, so
Yeah, but okay, yeah, it depends. In large organization, you still might have you still have these kind of companies where you have the one person that decides everything, the owner who doing everything, and very often, okay, it's understandable that they want to control it, because as I mentioned, if the product you said is 50% of 70% of their turnover, you have a very strong control. But then you don't have a complex buying structure anymore. You just have a very simple, and then you have to ask to see the requirements and so on. I went through these kind of things. So I came to a company, and when I was selling polypropylene, and then came to the owner, and in his office he had always all the digits of the percentage of his raw material silos, and he said, look, this silo is empty, you can fill it, but I want to have this price and these kind of things. Of course you have these kind of things, low quality level and things you go by. Yeah, but this is really then transactional. You don't need marketing. You don't need these kind of things. You just say, okay, if I have enough material and I need to get rid of it, then I will give him something or not.
So, Jörg, what about when a company has an RFP process to buy? Uh, there, by design, you are actually isolated from talking to any of the
Yeah.
stakeholders. They may summarize that in an RFP document, but it's still not the same as talking directly with the stakeholders.
Yeah. So RFP is of course a different part, and RFP process is very much with much commoditized products. Or at least this is where they want to bring you down there. And in RFP, yeah, you have to understand how they will make the decision, and this is a kind of learning process. And you also have I think there are also specific tactics to do this. You can understand, okay, there was an RFP process, and we didn't get the deal. It was the other company. So you might be sure that if this company won the last RFP, they are, yeah, they are not so hungry anymore, and you can play your cards and so on. So it's a different way of working, but yeah, they are not very much for this kind of value and total cost of ownership or something like this. It's more commoditized.
But I mean, when companies buy services like software and all, there are RFPs all the time. So
Yeah, it depends. When we introduced our CRM, CPQ, marketing tools, and so on, of course, you have an RFP where people have to offer something. But what we, yeah, most of the kind of practice is you have to have at a certain moment, you have to have a discussion with the business owners. And
mm,
in the end, it is not really purchasing that is deciding about everything. It is really then the one who have the fund. So we were clear that certain solutions we will not go for them. And then we
mm,
made a kind of classification how we judged on certain items. And
mm,
then I think the people, the selling companies knew approximately from the interaction how it would work. And we had these kind of but then I was in a different role, not a seller, but more in a buyer role. Where we had a company that was so bold and said, we will not reply to your RFP if we don't have the chance to talk to the people who are the users of our product.
That's a good tip, good approach.
Yeah, because otherwise we cannot make an offer, and then we will not invest any time in writing this. So we lose time, you lose time, we will not have the right fit. And this was a very bold statement, and due to the fact, so these were the only one that were approaching us with whom we had a discussion, and they made, of course, the best offer. They were not the cheapest, but we said we want them because we see they understand what we want and they can make it as we need it.
Right. Yeah,
So,
that's a very good tip. Yeah, maybe that's the approach we need to take. So let's we have maybe 3, 4 more minutes. Let's take the
okay.
topic AI and the role of AI tools in the sales and marketing process. So with AI now you can generate content instantly and personalize the outreach at scale. Do you think how would AI impact the marketing functions? Would it replace or augment the human expertise? And how could AI eventually help you identify the buying influencers better than the experienced salesperson can?
Okay, there are two subjects, sales and marketing. Yeah, so marketing will change for sure. The texting part, of course, it will be different in the future, and then it depends also on the needs. So how deep you go for the in our industry, we are not really we need simple text depending on what we want to do. If we want to create attention on a certain subject, it's different than if you go in deeper expertise. And producing this kind of material, we always had a bottleneck in the past because we didn't have so much Marcom writers and texters and so on. So we didn't do much. Now we can do much more. Now, but not only we do that, maybe our competition is also doing it, and then it comes back. You have this game. Here I have 5 bullets. Please make a 3-page white paper out of it. So you produce this, you send it, and then your customer said, "Hey, I got here this 3-page white paper. I reduced it to 5 bullet points that are really important." So this is maybe this AI game that is happening. The AI will change it in a certain way. So yes, you can, depending on the level where you are, you can make more, or if you have already a lot, you can make it cheaper, and some jobs will change in marketing. And yeah, marketing really needs to work on with AI much more than they have done before. Now, sales, it's different. You can much better identify people. You can much better get a briefing. So the completely part of sales enablement will also change. So people will expect from you that you are much better informed as you were before. It should be a discussion on a higher level than it was before. So things that you needed to explore and to find out, the questioning might already be evident, and you just need to ask, okay, if your assumptions are correct. But then you have much more time to work on the solution than rather to find out if your solution would fit. So I think this is the main part for sales and the whole sales enablement tools that you can get. So I think there will be changes on both sides. You have to embrace AI, and the earlier you do it, the better.
Right. Great. For a commercial or marketing leader at a chemical company listening right now in the audience, where do they actually start? What is the single highest leverage or first movers advantage that you would recommend them?
I think they should actively sit together with their teams and see what is their opinion about AI, what is their experience, and set up a plan together with them how they will use it. So you have to do it with your people with whom you are working, and to understand you will see different levels. You have these early adapters that are front runners. You have people that didn't really touch on it, and you have to bring them together and make your plan how to adopt it, make your roadmap to go forward and work with this.
Right, right. And my last question, Jörg, what would be the one single message you would like to leave to our commercial leaders, sales and marketing leaders who have joined this webinar? What would that be?
This is always the most the toughest one. Put everything in one sentence.
Or no, one message, one paragraph
One
could be
message,
fine.
yeah. Yeah, so the first one is a statement that says stop talking about the customer, accept that there's a kind of variety and that you need to bring forward. You will not have one methodology to catch all of them, and be open to these kind of things, accept diversity also in the buying world and adopt it in your way of working.
Right. I've got, thank you, Jörg. Let's tackle with a couple of questions over here. The first one, I think you already addressed it. How has AI disruption changed? What's possible with the sniper marketing in this industry, and where do you see the biggest opportunities emerging?
Oh, so sorry, I don't see this question. So there were a lot of questions together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sniper marketing is really that you are able to adopt the message to different people, to different business influencers, to different functions, and to different hierarchy level, and not it's the opposite of a shotgun marketing where you shoot out a lot of messages. So the messages are the bullets, and you hope that one of these bullets will bring down a duck or
Okay.
touch a customer. So there you really see this is the message. This is the one person or person that I want to touch, and this is the message I want to bring over.
Right, right. I have another question from the audience. How do you handle situation where economic buyer and technical buyer are completely misaligned? One wants the cheapest option, obviously, and the other wants the best specifications.
Yeah, yeah. So the normal way of thing is you have to convince them all in a certain way. But yeah, you always see that companies have conflicting targets, and this is something new. And this is a typical situation of conflicting targets. The fact is, can you as a salesperson help them to find together? And if not, I would say take the next lead, takes the next company, and leaves them until they have sorted out, because they will not be able to sustain in their world. So you will not be it will not be a winner in your industry.
Right, right. And then where does CRM fit into the sniper marketing framework? And what does good CRM data looks like versus the most chemical companies actually have today?
Okay. Yeah, the best data is always actual data and correct data. And then it can be a manual exercise. And there I would give to leaders also, hey, check out, you have now possibilities to connect it. And yeah, in the Western world, the best social media platform to do this is LinkedIn. So connect your CRM to LinkedIn, then you have the best information about what's going on. You have actual data. You have good positions. You even have information about the company. You have information about the people, about their activity in LinkedIn, and this really helps you to go forward. Not a manual exercise. Don't put more manual administrative things on to salespeople or marketing people. Use tools to do this.
Right. Here's an interesting question. So, how does one scale marketing in scenarios where we don't talk about customers and personas in the traditional way?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we build raw messages, raw value messages, and then you can use AI to adapt it when you reach out to a certain number of people. You might have a generic message to generate interest, Then you bring them to your landing page. You get a kind of reaction, and from there you start to work individually with them, or you do it in a different way if you use LinkedIn messaging and these kind of things, the smart links and so on. Then you have already, you prepare messages then for a bunch of functions and bunch of hierarchies. So a bunch of buying influencers that you have defined. And then, of course, you can give them an individual touch, and this is then the task of the salespeople that say we know our what we call customers, we know the people with whom we interact.
Right, right. Okay, and the last question, because I think we are about time. So, which AI tools have you used in sales and marketing, and what do you recommend?
Okay, yeah. So here I have to say what we are using is a tool called ValueWe. So ValueWe means workflow engine, and this is for the company that I will also work with now, which is called WLoop, wloop.eu. So we built this ValueWe tool to go through the whole process from value identification until value communication in 10 steps. And it's really a very powerful tool. So we have been able to reduce work that was going over days in terms of man hours to really some hours. It can be done virtually, and this is something I would really recommend to use.
So this is the proprietary tool that you and your team has developed.
Yeah, we developed it together with WLoop, and we will make it available. It's available for everybody who wants to try it out. It's a really powerful tool.
And how does one access that tool?
Just connect with me, and I will do this. So otherwise, you also have the web page. It's it's double-loop.eu, and this is the company that promotes it, and the tool is called ValueWe. So this is what we are using here.
I think much better to contact you. And what is the best way to contact you? LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, of course. LinkedIn is always the best way. Or otherwise, do it via LinkedIn. It's the best way to do so.
Right. Well, Jörg, thank you very much for sharing all your practical insights that you have accumulated over the last 5 decades. Really, really interesting conversation. We can go on, but we have a reality of calendars. So we're hitting the time, but thanks a lot. Thank you very much for your time and sharing your insights.
Yeah. Thank you, Jay, for this interesting discussion. Thanks to your team for setting it up, and thanks to the audience to have spent some time with me. And if there are questions, please connect to me directly via LinkedIn. So I will just bring in, it is GH Krause. This is my profile name on LinkedIn.
Yep.
So if you go there, you can find me. And thank you very much. Successful week and a nice summer to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Jörg. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.